Welcome to the Well to Lead podcast, where we explore the dynamic relationship between personal wellness and effective leadership. Hey, good morning, Well to Lead family. How you guys doing this morning? Thanks for joining us today, folks. We are privileged this morning to have in our studio audience Mr. DK Kang. DK is an author, life learner, and wellness advocate, and he's going to come today to talk with us about a host of things here, resilience and some other things that I believe are going to tremendously add value to you all today. So be sure to hang in there with us and join me as I welcome DK to our studio audience. DK, how you doing this morning, my man?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm glad we finally connected, man. I appreciate you joining us this morning. And from my understanding, you are from Dallas, right? You're out in the Dallas, Texas area, right?
Yep, that is correct.
Oh, okay. Okay. I hope you guys are having more mild or weather, I guess, right now, because we've been having a hot spell. So I don't know if it's really hot out there where you guys are at right now. How's the weather been?
I don't know, man. Dallas is kind of like those weird. It's like the weird spot. Sometimes like it's like really really hot, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it'll just get like really really cold. It's like very bipolar weather here. Right now, it's
I,
like in the 70s in the morning, but it's supposed to shoot up to like 96 today. So
Hey, dude, you know what? That's how it's been here, here in the Carolinas, man. We have been having some weird weather like that too. So, you kind of like I go to work out early in the morning, and normally I have to go out with a jacket. And normally by noontime, I'm back in, short sleeves and stuff and shorts, man, because it's like 85, 90 degrees, like you said, So it's interesting how the weather's been. But listen, man, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, we are excited to dive into today's discussion with you. But before we get going, how about you give us perhaps maybe a more general overview of yourself and some of the things that you're doing, and we're gonna dive right in from there.
okay, yeah. So for me, growing up, I did martial arts. I still practice today. So martial arts is a big part of my life. Also, I'm also a massage therapist for a lot of athletes for recovery, for athletic performance with pain management. And so I kind of blend those two together because there's a lot of mindset and just body work that goes into it. And so I'm
Mhm.
also an author. I wrote two books. One is called Mindset Metamorphosis. It's about how to deal with stress and overwhelm, being stuck, and how to kind of pull yourself out of that. And then I have another book called The Kimchi Connection Cookbook, and it's about integrating gut health with fermented foods and
Wow.
integrating the kimchi into your own cuisines or different dishes throughout to so you can have more of that gut health benefits. And so that's kind of
Okay.
where I'm at, and I'm also working on another book. So just a little bit about me.
Nice, man. So you got two books out. We are certainly hoping to hear more about those books during our conversation. I mean, the cookbook is really interesting, right? So I'd like for us to maybe talk a little bit about that. So I wanted to ask you, from the perspective of, our discussion being around faith, fitness, and the fight within, winning when everything's against you. So you talked a little bit about and just your overview about stress, and obviously stress is a big challenge right now. But what I'd like to find out from you is how you were able to incorporate life lessons from your martial arts to deal with some of the challenges that people are facing right now, in particular like stress and things like that.
Yes, a little bit more backstory. So I wrote my book Mindset Metamorphosis during last year in 2024. So last year, my wife got diagnosed with breast cancer, and like it was the end of 2023, like December 31st of 2023, and then started treatments in 2024 of February, and then I got laid off from work for disclosing my wife's cancer diagnosis for a more flexible work schedule, like
Mm,
a week after I disclosed that to my company. And so for me, I was stressed, like medical bills, trying to just really be there for my wife to, really lead my wife, emotionally and to take her to appointments. And so, we had no income, both of us, because she quit her job after her diagnosis. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, the stress compounded from daily living expenses to how are we going to figure out medical insurance? Because after I got laid off, there was a point where I didn't have any medical insurance. And then we did one chemo treatment for her, and we got a bill that was like, it was $80,000 with
Wow.
no, yeah, for one chemo treatment. And she had to do 12 plus like additional like target drugs and radiation, things like that. And so yeah, I'm like, I'm super stressed. I'm overwhelmed and I felt like I'm stuck. Like what do I do? Um, and then eventually we got insurance sorted out after like many phone calls, things like that. But I relate life and martial arts together because when you look at martial arts, I mean, there's a lot of discipline, there's a lot of consistency, learning little steps here and there. But when you actually apply those techniques, like when you're sparring against someone face to face, it's how do you react when those punches and kicks are coming at your face? Do you run
Mm.
away? Do you face those challenges? And that's the same with life. Metaphorically, when we get kicks or punches to the face, like a cancer diagnosis, when you hear the word cancer, I mean, that it rocks your world and it turns your life upside down. And I mean, it did for us for sure. And so it was kind of how do you react? How do I react? And so, faith is a big part of my life. And so after I got laid off my job, that when I came home that night, I talked to my wife, we prayed. And for me, I think the shift was instead of asking, why is this happening to us? We asked the question, why not us? And we reframed it to maybe this might help somebody else down the line. Yeah, it sucks in the moment. It's a big challenge, but we just had to reframe it and think differently because cancer is a big part of this world nowadays, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
You're
so
you're right.
and so that's kind of how the book kind of came about and with martial arts and because I wrote the book during my wife's cancer treatments. And so
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of reframing and it's how we react to those life situations when those kicks and
So
punches
I
come.
yeah, yeah, man, I'm listening at your story and it's so powerful and there's so much that's packed in there that I want us to maybe kinda drill down a bit on, right? The first thing is that stuck out in your story to me was the perspective, you and your wife's perspective, on your situation and the way that you know, chose to view it versus, some cases when you have something bad like that happens and if it comes out of left field, a lot of times, people can take those situations and those situations a lot of times can turn them down because of how they because and so I like what you talked about when you mentioned how with martial arts, what do you do when you get hit? Like, how do you react? And and that's what life does. Life throws us some punches, right? And sometimes the punches come and they're unexpected. They catch us by surprise. But how do you react to it? And I think that's so powerful what you what you shared there. But how did you come up with this frame of mind? Because I'm interested in how you got to that frame of mind because most people a lot of times will take the opposite approach. But what got you to that? Was it prayer that got you there? Just your belief in God and your faith? I mean, how'd you get there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, yeah, so faith is a big part. A part of my morning routine is I read and pray, but I also meditate. I mean, that has to do with martial arts. But, like I think about like fitness and martial arts because it's hard, you know? And most people want to do the opposite thing is the
Yep.
easy way out because it's comfort, it's simple, it's easy, and instead of working on nutrition, or instead of working on like, hey, I need to work out, wake up an hour early just to go for a walk or a run. And so for me, I've done a lot of Spartan races. I don't know if you know if you're familiar with a Spartan race.
I've heard the term, but tell us more about it.
Okay, so a Spartan race is an obstacle course race. There's different lengths like a 5K, 10K, 21K, 50K. And then there's like obstacles while you're doing a trail run, like about, so 5K, there's like 20, a 10K, there's like 25, 21K, there's like 30, and then the 50K, there's 60. And so I did the 50K back in 2023. And to give you an example, everything starts in the mind. Like what you think, what you believe, that's going to be the end result. And so, an example, when I'm doing this 50K, so it's like 33 miles, rough terrain, 60 obstacles, carrying a boulder, sandbags, barbed wire crawl,
Wow.
monkey bars, rope climb. There's a lot of obstacles. It really trains your grit and your resilience. But so you do this loop twice. You do a 25K once, then you go back out and do another 25K with another 30 obstacles. And so on the second loop, I'm passing people and they're saying out loud, this is too hard. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they didn't finish. And our race, our announcer was like, there's about 600 of you guys on this race, and it's about a 50% fail rate. And that has to do with a lot with the mind. And so for me, like I finished the race, but I mean, things happen. Like I dropped a boulder on my toe, I had a nosebleed, I tore my hands, I lost my gloves, I lost my like all these things happened. But for me, I kept saying, I need to keep moving forward. I need to keep going and not listen to everybody else, because those people that said, this is too hard, I can't finish this. I mean, they didn't finish. And so, it reminds me of a scripture in the Bible is to, run the race as if you're going to finish the race and get that prize. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
there's a lot of parallels to that, because when life throws you stuff, life throws you obstacles, do you give up? And so for me, like same thing. I've been doing martial arts for 34 years. Everybody thinks like, oh, black belt that's my end goal. I'm like, dude, black belt is just the beginning. That's where you start.
Right.
Because it's hard up to that point, but now let's use those techniques. Let's use that mindset. 'Cause, one thing my instructor said, I mean, I was like a second degree black belt, and he's like, every time you walk in that door, you are a white belt. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm a black belt. Like, what are you talking about? But it's that mind shift of
Yeah.
continuous to learn. Don't think that you know everything, because there's
Right.
always something out there to learn. And that goes the same with like, that's kind of how because I've grown up doing it for so long, to do the hard route and not taking the easy way out like everybody else. And so those two things, like Spartan races and martial arts and faith, those three things, I guess, really helped me see that, hey, like I can't just give up during my wife's cancer treatments, whether it be
Wow.
applying for jobs or to be there for her, take her all of her appointments, ask questions to the doctor, continues to learn. Like we read this book called Chris Beat Cancer for us to continue to learn. Talks a lot about
What's that?
nutrition.
What was the name of the book again?
Chris Beat Cancer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great resource. Chris talks about just having the mindset of not giving up and not taking the easy way
Yeah.
out of. And so, but that's the general population in today's society.
No, you're right. And again, I I'm just floored by the way you were able to articulate that, right, in such a way that teaches us about what resilience is, and perseverance, and even how the Bible speaks about that, right? And it's interesting because I'm listening at you, DK, and I'm listening at how you were able to, through your journey, through martial arts, through going through various challenges, and how you were able to actually take some of those situations, right, and be able to tackle this really difficult situation you were dealing with your wife. And I'm thinking about my own journey when it came to my weight loss. And some of the lessons that I learned from my weight loss journey that has helped me to deal with other aspects of life, like the resilience part, right? And it's amazing, man, how you can learn so much from that fitness standpoint because, when you think about going to work out, like for me, if I go work out, I'm going in and I'm subjecting my muscles to pressure and, by lifting weights. And the only way my muscles grow is, you know, they have to be torn down to be built up. And that's pressure that's being exerted. And I learned that, you know, when you're dealing with situations in life where things kind of hit you, sideways, you take that same approach because there's always something that you can do from a mindset standpoint to help you grow through the difficulty. But I like the way you presented the story, man, because it's so vital that we learn resilience and perseverance and that it starts in the mind. Like you were talking about the folks that were on the course, they had already kind of condemned themselves by saying it was too hard. You know what I'm saying? And they like, okay, when you start speaking that negativity, right? It's like, okay, yep, it pretty much, you're pretty much going to see it come to pass. But it's amazing what you've transitioned through. But I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about the diagnosis. And you said that when your wife had the diagnosis, you shared that with someone on your job, and soon after that you were let go. Can you tell us more about that? I mean, was that something that they kind of like did intentionally, or was it just a planned layoff that was going to happen?
Yeah, so, I mean, I till this day, I still don't know, but I I find it very, very odd that I tell them, and then I mean, this is like I had 3 bosses, 3 managers, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, that's fine. We'll give you a flexible work schedule." And then a week later, they said, "Oh, we ran out of money." It's like an excuse to not really say that so I don't come after them, but, it's like $1 billion company. It's like, what am I gonna do? And so for me, I just was like, I'm not gonna let that negativity that's their problem if they think I wasn't performing well enough, or if it really was my wife's cancer diagnosis that they're like, "Oh, he's going to be, always gonna be gone because his wife has cancer, so he's a liability." I mean,
Mm,
I'm not for me, I was just like, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole and try to figure it out because then it's not doing me any good. So for me, I just like,
right.
you know what, I moved on. There's always plenty of jobs out there, but, when you do get let go, there's something that does happen in your mind. It almost like there's like a little voice saying, "You're not good enough," or, um, like and so, for me, I had to kinda retrain my brain. No, like, I'm I'm one of a kind. I'm still going to like, I would have never thought of being on a podcast or even written a book, because if I was still employed, I wouldn't have written a book. And so for me, my mission is, hey, I just want to help people because I know everybody's going through something, some sort of challenge, whether it be job loss, financial issues, health issues. You know, I know what it's like. I've been there. I mean, we're still kind of going through it. I mean, my wife is done with all her cancer treatments, but the aftermath of not having any income for 10 months, that brought us to like $60,000 in medical debt and living expenses. But for me, I was just kind of like, just let it go. And try not to let it bother me.
Yeah. No, I mean it's amazing, man, because it's all the thing that you were saying earlier about, having this different mindset and perspective on your situation, which I mean, I'm getting so much out of the story and what you're sharing with us because that's just the key to life, man. It's the way that we, make a determination on how we're going and what we're going to do about this adversity that has come to, that we have to come to deal with. So the interesting thing here is that from this bad experience, you were motivated to write a book, and you were going through your wife's going through her own physical challenges and emotional challenges. You're dealing with now unemployment and having to figure out about the bills and all of these other things. So you guys kind of get hit with this double whammy, right? And so all of that's going on. And during this time, you decided to write the book, right? Was that
Yeah.
was that what around the same time that you actually started to write the book?
Yeah, so I started writing the book around, um, maybe March
Okay.
of 2024. So she was already diagnosed and started treatments February of 2024. And then honestly, it was a way for me. I was just journaling because I was like, I don't know how to deal with these
Yeah.
emotions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then something like kind of clicked in me and saying, well, maybe there's other people that's dealing with stress and overwhelm. I'm like, I can't be the only one dealing with this and stress and being stuck. Uh, so I was just like, I kind of rewrote it to took my journal notes and just kind of rewrote it to kind of help general people to start
I got you.
thinking
I got you.
differently and start doing things differently, like taking action for their life. Because we could have just easily been like, all right, hey, doctors, you guys are the experts. You guys tell us what to do, and that's it. But not take ownership of what our nutrition or doing some exercises to help the process. And that's where the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset comes in. And I talk about that in my book. And so yeah, like we took ownership of my job loss. We took ownership of breast cancer and we started making changes. We took action of our life of, all right, let's book is talking about broccoli sprouts. Let's grow our own and
Yeah.
let's start putting into our smoothies, our salads to kind of help combat the cancer. Because there's like 10 times
Wow.
more cancer fighting ingredients in broccoli sprouts than in regular broccoli. And we looked up how to grow them. So we were like, oh, this is pretty easy. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's take action. And so,
So
yeah.
no, that's awesome, man, because I mean you guys actually started to do things that, you could actually participate in to take ownership of the situation and contribute to whatever to the situation in whatever ways you could. And I like the approach how even though she got the diagnosis and you're dealing with the situation that you found some other things that you could incorporate into from a health perspective. And I mean I love that. Again, you're taking ownership like you said and you're being involved in the situation. And I think that's how we should approach adversity is to try and do whatever we can do, trust and pray that God will help us on the other end, but making sure that we're doing whatever we can do. And so this, I want to go back a minute because you said something about journaling. So you were journaling before you wrote the book, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's interesting you talked about journaling. So I'm a big advocate for journaling. I've been journaling for years and I've found such amazing value in journaling. And through journaling, I actually came up with a book through journaling myself, which is interesting,
Nice.
right? 'Cause yeah, yeah. I got a book series, dude, that I'm working on now that
Wow. Awesome.
actually was birthed. Yeah, it was birthed from journaling, man, because journaling is a powerful tool. It's sort of like for me, it was sort of like sending your thoughts into the future. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that, there were things that I wrote like in 2019, 2018, um, about whatever I was going through at the time and just, what God was helping me with and how I was able to transition through the challenges that are helping me today. And I'm able to extract from those things today. And so I realized, like you, that there were other people dealing with some of these same challenges. So I just kind of took all that stuff together and kind of compiled it into like a series that I'll be putting out just to kind of add value and help folks out, man. So that's interesting. We got that in common, man. That's pretty cool
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Really quick, I want
Yeah,
to go back to your journey on weight loss. How much did you
yeah.
lose? How much weight did
I
you
ended up
lose?
losing. Yeah, that's good, man. I forgot to mention that I lost 100 pounds. It took me
Wow.
about 12 months or so. I lost 100 pounds, like all naturally. And what happened
Wow.
is what you
Congratulations. That's
said
awesome.
at the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, man, thanks, and I've actually been able to maintain that weight loss for about 3.5 years now, and, my life
Wow.
was totally
That's awesome.
transformed and totally changed. But what's
Mhm.
interesting, DK, was this: I had failed at dieting, like, hundreds of times. I mean, I tried everything, and then you lose the weight, you pick the weight back up, lose the weight, pick the
Mhm.
weight back up, and then some. So I went through that cycle for years, man, and for me, there was a I don't know, it was, perhaps a defining moment coming to the end of myself kinda situation where my health was being affected, and I had a
Mhm.
whole lot of health issues going on, and I tell you, man, the day that I can remember the day, the time, what I had on, this is how distinct it was when I just cried out to God. I said, "God, I can't keep going like this. I need your help." Because I
Mm.
realized that, you know, he had a call and purpose on my life, and I saw it.
Yep.
I could see it. And I said, if you got a call and purpose on my life, there's no way that I can fulfill that in this condition because I have
Mm.
no energy. I'm tired all the time.
Yeah.
My emotions are up and down. I mean, I can't think clearly.
Mhm.
So he answered that prayer for me, but I had to still do the work. But what
Yep.
happened for me, it didn't happen all the other times, was what you said earlier. There was a mindset shift, period. It started there, and that mindset transitioned me into developing healthier habits to replace those other habits that were unhealthy, and, uh, and I've been, transformed by it, man, and actually, those things that I learned during that journey, just like you talked about martial arts, they have taught me they taught me what resilience means. It's taught me what discipline is. And because to get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym every day for 6 days a week and work out, I mean, whether it's cold outside, hot outside, doesn't matter. I'm up because it's a habit now. And so that consistency has taught me about stick to itiveness and not giving up when you don't feel it, or
Yeah.
when you have something bad happen, I still get up and work out. If I'm dealing with a problem in life in general, I still get up and I work out. I still integrate my healthy eating habits
Mhm.
irregardless of what life throws my way because it's
Wow.
who I am now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
man, yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell, man. But
Okay.
so
Yeah.
I'm totally relating to what you're saying when you
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
martial arts and yeah, and some
Yeah.
of the things you picked up because yeah,
Yeah, so I
it's
wanna piggyback on, just your journey and your transformation, like,
yeah,
that's amazing. There's a scripture that reminds me in Romans, it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be
yep,
transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will
yep.
know and be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." And
Preach
so,
it,
yeah,
preach it.
everything goes in the mind. And then another thing I wanna talk about is, you talking about habits.
Yeah.
I talk about habits in my mindset book. It's
Oh, cool.
about habit stacking. And so what habit stacking is you take an already existing habit. Let's just say, you every morning you drink coffee and you're like old school where you actually brew the coffee, you know, with like the little what do you call it, the filter,
Yeah,
and
the
then you put the
filters.
grounds
Yeah,
in. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so let's just say that, and let's say, it takes 2 minutes to brew your coffee. Well, instead of scrolling on your phone, doing nothing, and your goal is to get in better shape, well, use that 2 minutes to knock out as many push-ups as you can. Because if you do that every single day, think about how many push-ups you'll be able to do at the end of the year. It's going to compound. And then another thing I want to talk about is you said when you're working out, you put pressure on your muscles, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so in my kimchi book, I talk about the kimchi mindset. So when you work out, you don't just gain muscle overnight. If
Right,
you do, like,
exactly.
it's day in, day out, consistent, 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 right? And so with the kimchi, when you make kimchi, kimchi doesn't ferment overnight. you put it in a jar, you seal the lid, and it starts pressurizing, right? And so it's kind of the same with life. Sometimes life is pressurizing us, but maybe sometimes at the same process, maybe we're fermenting. Like
That's
kimchi is
right.
fermenting. And then when it's actually fermented, there's something amazing, powerful that comes about that. With kimchi, there's probiotics, there's gut health, brain, there's a gut brain connection. Same thing with us in life. Sometimes we're fermenting and it sucks. We're in that storm or that challenge. We're being pressurized. And then maybe we're being transformed into something more powerful that will maybe honor God or to help somebody else on their journey. And so I talk about that in my kimchi book as well, that there's so many parallels to life and just having that different mindset. I mean, it really makes a difference. And so yeah,
No, man,
like
you're right,
it's
dude.
awesome on your transformation. Like I'm like
Oh, dude, I
I'm
appreciate it.
so blown away with your transformation. Like that's not an easy feat to do. And man, like
No.
that is awesome.
Yeah. I I appreciate it, DK. I tell you, man, it's I'm still, I'm still amazed by it, and I am still just so grateful, man, that God helped me to because when people like we're talking about things today, right? And we're using some real life examples, like some of the examples you just mentioned there, some of the examples I mentioned, right? And how they translate to things that we have learned that can be used to deal with adversity and pressure in life. Because what we what we all know is life gonna throw us some stuff that we don't like, stuff that may challenge us. But what's interesting is like you talk about the kimchi, right? And how it ferments and how it sits, right? And ferments. And what happens when we're dealing with these problems and like you when you were running that race, you made up in your mind that no matter what, I'm not gonna quit. Like the
Yeah.
other people were dropping out. And you
Yeah.
was running through problems, you were having all different type of challenges on the course, but you didn't quit. And what happens is in those pressurized moments, in those difficult moments when we stay the course, when we show up, when we keep moving, we keep forging ahead under pressure, that's where character is forged. It's
Yeah.
forged in obscurity in the places that you can't see, but it's fermenting. Something's happening, but you can't see it all at once. But over time, you'll see it. And what happens is when you come out on the other side, now you're this new person, this different person, and you're able to handle the next challenge a little bit better than you did before. And you're able to confront life with a different perspective and mindset. And
Hmm.
I'm even li and even today, man, listening at your story and the things that you and your wife have transitioned through, how you're here on a podcast today, you're reaching this audience, and you're sharing your story, and you're adding value. And it was through a painful season that you guys was going through, but you didn't quit. So, you have no idea how many people are gonna listen at your story today, even years from now, will be inspired by what you're talking about today, and it will help them in some way. So you tell me how powerful that is, dude. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the books that you've written, all of these things are adding value to people, but you could have still been stuck on that job,
Yeah.
and even that turned out to be something that have allowed you the opportunity to do some other things to kind of help add value. So man, it's just incredible story, man. Just an incredible story, dude. So you wrote 2 books, and the second book, the cookbook, when did you actually write that one?
Yeah. So that one actually came before.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah. So quick little backstory. I grew up in Missouri. My parents owned a restaurant. I moved here to Texas about 2016, so about 10 years ago or so. And then for me, I grew up eating kimchi like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like my whole diet was mainly like vegetables and rice. I didn't eat a whole lot of meat. I mean, I ate meat, but not a whole lot. But then I came here to Texas. I missed my mom's homemade kimchi. I would buy kimchi at the store. It would come in plastic containers. It didn't taste good, and when you put kimchi or anything in plastic, it starts absorbing some of the plastics, and you get microplastics into your bloodstream by digesting it, things like that. And so I went back to Missouri. I talked to my mom. It's like, "Hey, can you teach me how to make kimchi?" And she's like, "Yeah." So I spent like a whole weekend learning how to do it. And then I came back to Texas. I made my own. I started bringing it to work, and my coworkers would ask me, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just, I mean, it's kimchi. I grew up with it," but they didn't know what it was. So, and Korean food nowadays is more like it's like a trend. Like everybody's trying to do it now.
Mhm.
And so, I would just share my kimchi with my coworkers, and then it turned out they were like, "Can I buy a jar from you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, I'm not selling it. Like, this is just
Right.
something that I want to eat." And so
Yeah.
then I started kind of selling it to my coworkers. Then they started asking me, "Well, what do I do with kimchi? Like, do I just eat it?" I'm like, "No, you could start putting into all kinds of dishes, your salads." And that's kind of how the book kind of came about,
Oh,
because I kept
nice.
getting the question, "What do I do with this kimchi? Do I just eat it straight up?" I'm like, "No, incorporate it into your own dishes, because there's a lot of probiotics, there's fermentation, there's fiber there, there's a lot of micronutrients and minerals that are
Wow.
there with kimchi, and there's a whole lot of your immune system is about 70% in your gut. So
Mhm.
if you're eating garbage, if you're eating poor diets like the standard American diet, which is very sad, it's fast food, it's sugary stuff, sugar drinks, Starbucks, things like that. Well, your gut is going to start becoming sugar and this processed food that we're not supposed to eat. But then with fermented foods, it helps with bringing those bacteria, the good bacterias back into your immune system, because from the gut, everything kind of goes out and there's a big
Yeah.
gut brain connection. So that's kind of how the book kind of came about, in a kind of a long, short story, I guess. So,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
no, no, that's yeah, no, that's awesome, man. So have you always been, on the wellness track, DK? Has this always been like a part of your life, or was there a certain time you got more into wellness?
No, yeah, I mean, I pretty much, like, because I started doing martial arts at 5. So, and then, going day in, day out, Monday through Friday, just training. And then I got really serious when I was about 12 in martial arts. I mean, I started running 9 miles a day. I started doing jump rope, an hour a day as well, and going to martial arts class like every single day. But for me, I equated, so like I said, my parents owned a restaurant, and my parents, since they had a restaurant, I would drink soda so much, like, because it was readily available. But when I was
Right, right.
12, I did an experiment on myself. I was like, well, what if I cut out soda completely? And I want to see how that performs with my athletic performance with martial arts, with sparring, with running, and see how that correlates. Ever since then, I have not drinking soda since I was 12, because
Wow.
it slowed me down. Like, I did an experiment. I was like, I drank soda. I went for a 3-mile run, and my time was like, and this was like in the 90s. Like, there was no smartwatches. I
Right,
would just
right, right.
time myself, and I'm like, "Man, I'm feeling sluggish. I'm not feeling good, and I feel thirsty." And then I tried it without it, and I'm like, "Oh, my time was faster. I'm not thirsty, and I feel great. I feel like I could run another 3 miles." So ever
Wow.
since then, like, I just, like, cut soda out, haven't looked back. So for me, wellness has been, like, always part of my life, and
That's
growing up
all.
in a Korean culture, it's a lot of vegetables that we
Yeah,
eat. And
yeah.
so, and I grew up eating, like, lean meat, like chicken breast. Like, for the longest time, for, like, when I was here in Texas, every lunch, Monday through Friday, my lunch would be like a chicken breast with broccoli, like a cup of broccoli, like every single day. Like, that's all I would eat. So
Really?
yeah. Yeah. It was like I did that for like 3 years, 3 or 4 years. And then, of course, I started getting into Spartan races, but nutrition plays a big role in how you feel, how you think,
Yes.
and how
Yes.
you respond and how you react in
Yes.
so many
Yeah.
things. Like, before,
No,
I tried,
that's
like,
true.
eating fast food, and I'm like, "All right, I feel like I don't want to go exercise," but I tried exercising, and I'm like, my body's just like, "No, what are you doing?" And so I was like, all right, I can't eat fast food. Like I just can't because it doesn't make me feel good.
No, and man, that's so interesting you mentioned that, dude, because you're absolutely right. And I'm gonna tell you something that I picked up during my journey, right? Was for the very first time I started listening to my body. It's almost like I became one with my body, like in some way, right? Because you mentioned about that soda and how you just said, look, man, let me just not drink this soda, right? And let me see what happens. And you got this whole nother gear that you saw you had or realized that you had by just eliminating the soda. So I've become more sensitive now than I ever have been to food and what it does to my performance and my
Mhm,
overall well being and how I feel. So through dieting, you try different things and then you see, like, okay, this not going to work for me because as soon as I eat it, I feel sluggish, so on
mhm,
and so forth. And what's happened for me, my diet has become pretty regimented and such that it's primarily mostly grilled chicken, salmon, nothing fried, and
mhm,
vegetables. And so I do a whole lot of variations with that. Wife, she prepares these. She do a lot of the meal prep stuff. So all of our meals are already set up, and that was a key to me keeping my weight off
yeah,
was meal prep. So it's pretty regimented, but I absolutely love it because I know when I eat this grilled chicken and these vegetables, I know it's going to give me energy.
mhm,
And so if I'm ever tempted to try eating like, and I haven't had like pork or beef or anything like that
mhm,
since I lost the weight. So if I try to veer off, I already know the consequences and I don't like the consequences of feeling bad. Because when you feel your body at and it's operating at an optimum level,
mhm,
you don't want to do anything to cause, yourself to feel, sluggish in any kind of way. And so you become very conscious of what you eat. And oftentimes you become very regimented because you
mhm,
stick with what you know works,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah,
And I think that's probably the biggest challenge that most people have when it comes to losing weight is they want to keep the variation. They want to keep eating the same types of foods, but you have to find ways to eliminate those things that are causing, deficiencies, so to speak, and incorporate those things that will add value and energy like broccoli and
mhm,
other things.
yeah,
That's what I had to learn, man. I said, if I want to keep this weight off and keep going, I said, man, I can't get down with fried chicken anymore. I just can't. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Just
mhm,
because it made me feel bad.
yeah,
You sluggish,
yeah,
ready to take a nap.
yeah,
I can't get down with a lot of the high cholesterol foods and stuff.
mhm,
And so it's worked for me, man. But you're right. I mean, the food and paying attention to your nutrition is so vital to your well-being. And also, as we've been talking about adversity, as we've been talking about your story, your wife's situation, and all of the challenges you guys went through. Your nutrition plays such a huge role in not only helping you to, have energy, but to deal with some of the other physical challenges. Like for me, I had high blood pressure,
mhm,
high cholesterol, and all of that was really a lot of it was contributing to the weight. I mean, it was to the weight, but also to the foods that I was eating.
mhm, yeah,
So once I eradicated those, then, things kind of reverse. But I guess what I'm saying is your nutrition plays such a vital role in not only you staying healthy or being healthy, but staying healthy. And at the same time, dealing with challenges when they come up.
yep, mm,
Because when you have problems, like we all will, life throws you problems, right? When you dealing with the problems, you need to have energy to deal with the problems, clarity of mind, clarity of thought.
mhm, mhm,
And so oftentimes it's more than just weight loss, it's more than just saying I'm doing this. But when you get in a bad situation, a lot of times you need to have the right foods to help give you the fuel to get through those challenges. So they're equally as important,
oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
you know?
The Bible talks about in this world you'll have trouble. Bible also talks about your body is a temple, and we
Yep.
need to honor it to honor God. And
Hmm.
that goes with, we have one mind, one body. If you think about, if you only have one car in your entire lifetime, how would you treat it? You
Right.
got one body, how are you going to treat it? And
Come on, man.
that's the food you eat. That's what are you feeding your mind? Like, are you watching garbage TV, or are you sitting down reading a book, or are you just scrolling on Facebook and saying, "Oh, I would never have that life because they have this." No, like stop comparing yourself. Like you got one
Right.
mind, one body. Feed it the right things, and
You're right. You're right.
so yeah, yeah. But
Like what you said about the car. I like what you
yeah,
said about if you got the one car, right? That's the truth.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got one body, right? So, but
Yeah.
one thing we did after cancer diagnosis, we went on a completely plant-based diet. And so
Mm,
there's a couple documentaries that, maybe you should check out, maybe even your listeners. It's called for especially for athletic performance, it's called The Game Changers. I think it's on
mm.
YouTube for free. It's like an hour and a
Okay.
half, and it's about a plant-based diet and athletic performance. There's another documentary called, and there's so many others, but another one is called Live to 100. And it's
Yeah.
basically people living to 100 consistently without diseases, any like autoimmune diseases, without like mental decline. And they've been practice. It's like five or six like cities in the world that it's called a blue zone, where consistently like these people live for 100 plus years in the last 50 years, and it's based on their diet, it's based on stress, it's based on like their community, but mainly it's their diet. And so that'd be something great to check out, and
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
of
glad you mentioned that.
why our bodies are meant to not eat all these processed fried foods
Yep.
you know
Yep. 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 No, you're right, dude. And I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's something else, certainly something I'm going to check out. And I know our audience will probably tune in and try to get some information from that as well. And it's just great stuff, man. And I could talk with you for hours on this subject, man. It seems we have a lot of commonalities here in our journeys. And the other thing I wanted to mention, because we were talking about nutrition, and you said this just a few minutes ago. You talked about, we was talking about the mindset and just what we're intaking a lot of times from the digital space, the things that we're watching on TV, the things that the doom scrolling, all this other stuff that we're doing on social media, right? That's the thing I like to tell people is you have to protect your mind. It's just like protecting your body. It's what you decide to put in it or
yeah,
allow to go in it, right?
yeah,
And it's the same with your mind. So we have to be mindful about the digital nutrition, meaning the things that we are, picking up online and things of that nature, because a lot of that, man, fuels stress.
yeah.
I mean, it fuels stress and it creates anxiety.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of times just the stuff that we're watching or looking at or comparing ourselves to others. It
Hmm.
doesn't add value more so than it does to kind of create unnecessary stress and
Hmm.
anxiety oftentimes that could be avoided had we not participated in looking at or, checking out those different sites or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I talk about that in my book about just like mindful eating, mindfulness of social media, things like that. Like, go outside, get some sun. Like, so many of us are vitamin D deficient. Go get some
Yep.
exercise, like, walk around, like, listen to a podcast while you're walking outside and get some fresh
Yep.
air. Like, you're getting so much value instead of like sitting at a computer, doom scrolling, whatever. You're not getting anything out of that, you know?
No, you're right. So DK, you got so much, man, going on here. I mean, I've had such a really awesome time talking to you today. I wanted to ask you, tell us about what you're doing to work with people or help people in a more direct way. So we know about the books and we'll talk, we'll give you a chance to tell us how we can get the books. But is there anything else you're doing at this stage right now that you are helping folk with, in
Uh,
terms of
yeah, so my wife and I were talking about maybe starting our own podcast. We're
Yeah,
also
yeah,
thinking about, or at least for me, I've taught martial arts all my life, maybe coaching some people to how to get unstuck. I'm not there yet, or how to deal with stress or being overwhelmed, like trying to maybe coach people through that. I'm thinking about it, but I haven't started anything.
I gotcha, I gotcha.
I am a massage therapist. I do see clients with like face to face with that.
Okay,
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, but haven't started yet. So yeah.
okay, got it. No, that's good stuff, man. Well, we got at least the opportunity to hear the story, and I'm assuming at this point everything's okay, or your wife's doing better with the transition that she's been experiencing, and you guys have kind of level setting a little bit from that experience, right?
Yeah, yeah. So my wife is cancer free as of February of
Awesome,
2025,
awesome.
but with because of the treatments, she ended up getting cataracts. So she just had both her eyes cataract surgery done. I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks ago now. So she's still recovering on that. But there's like this, there's an aftermath of, when someone's going through cancer treatments, everybody's cheering you on. Everybody's like, yeah, congratulations. Like you can do this. And then once the treatments are done, there's this like, everybody's just kind of quiet now. And so she's
Mhm.
trying to deal with, how do I navigate life? There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression kind of still lingering. And so we're trying to figure out how to get through that. And, we're
Yeah,
talking to people and, and we're just taking it day by day. But for our mindset is, we can and we will be better.
yeah. Excuse me. No, I love it, man. I was gonna tell you that, I've had some really great conversations that were truly inspirational from a few folks that have come on the show who actually had cancer themselves,
Hmm.
and they talk about, obviously the challenges you deal with the cancer, but then life after cancer, because it is a life after cancer that is not so much like it was before, and you have to now transition. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're right. I think a lot of people think that, well, once the cancer's over, praise God, thank God, it's done, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and we're certainly happy about that, right? But then there's still things after that you have to transition through and deal with, as anyone who have experienced cancer would probably have to
Hmm.
deal with. But I say that because I have some folks that love. I'm gonna make sure they try to reach out to you and connect with you in some way, that actually they went through cancer and then they also transitioned from it into this new lifestyle, and
Hmm.
just perhaps maybe be able to add some encouragement of value to you. So I'm gonna see if I can connect them with you. But they were
Yeah,
on the
sure.
show.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so when I saw them,
absolutely.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that part, because I think that's missed a lot of times, where people don't realize it is life after, and it's gonna be different for a minute. So, but listen, so do this for me. We need to know how we can get in contact with you, to get your books, encouragement, whatever. Tell us the best way to reach you and how we can get some of your materials.
Yeah. So if you go to my website, dkkang.com, if you sign up for my newsletter, I'm giving away the first chapter of my mindset book as a free download. That's a way to connect with me. And also trying to set up newsletter to give some great value to people. I'm on social media, but I don't really respond really much on social media because there was a point in my life where I was like, I'm just like doom scrolling and
Yeah.
I'm wasting my time, so I pretty much stopped it. So I post, like, once every 5 years or something like that, but I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to get better at it as I'm being a more on podcast.
Right.
Best way to contact me is my email is dk@dkkang.com. I usually respond pretty quickly through emails, usually, like, 2 days or so, but that's the quickest way, and then my books are on Amazon. They're both on Amazon. Mindset Metamorphosis, type it into Amazon search engine, and then the Kimchi Connection Cookbook. It's on Amazon as well. It's
Love it.
all of them are digital, paperback, and the only audio book is the Mindset Metamorphosis book.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Awesome, man. I'm glad that you mentioned that and how we can get the books. I'm sure I know I'm going to get me a couple copies,
Okay.
certainly. And I appreciate you sharing that. So DK, before we close out, how about you give our audience some words of wisdom or just some encouragement you'd like to leave our folks with today to just navigate, the challenges of life, man, and how to, overcome.
Yeah. I would say never stop learning. Like I said, be a white belt every day. Try to learn something new and start small. Rome wasn't built in a day. The world wasn't built in a day. You're not going to gain any muscles in a day. Start small, be consistent, and keep learning.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. But well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the show today, and it's certainly been a joy. I wish we had more time.
I know.
Yeah, I know, man. This is a really good discussion, dude. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna let you know, man. I need to get you to come back because I didn't get through most of what I wanted to ask you, and hopefully we can
Okay.
get you back for part two. Because you're a cool guy, and I love your story. I love the correlations in terms of some of the things that we talked about. So I just really had a fantastic time, man. So thanks for coming on today, DK. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, brother.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. So thank
Absolutely.
you.
Well, folks, that's all we have for today. I appreciate you guys joining us and tuning in. And until next week, have a good rest of the day. Take care. Thanks.